Hello, friends. Welcome to Nirpa's Talk Show. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Pakash Sharma. He is an industry veteran, holding almost 3 decades of industry experience, running different startup, and primarily, I am also the part of his startup. And today, I am very proud that he has been as a ambassador in global startup ecosystem and contributing different private organizations to flourish and success. Apart from his core responsibilities, also very actively associated as a strategic advisor to many companies and creating a positive impact in the society. Uh, on addition, he also associated with different government organizations and through skill development and many other social contribution that I am aware of. Hello, Dr. Prakash Sharma. Welcome to Nipa's Talk Show.
Thanks, Nepal, for giving this opportunity. So, uh, you can begin with your questions.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So probably let's go ahead to your skill development initiative that you have been connected with many colleges and universities, right? Probably can you share me about your skill development and startup funding and startup mentoring experience that you have?
So, let me begin my journey about skilling way back in 1996 when there were more focus on students had to do projects, live projects. And what used to happen was when we started experimenting out with the startup ecosystem, because of the boom in the US market, the candidates would do the projects and they would give me the source code and just move out to US. So the experiment with entrepreneurship failed in 2000, in 1996, 97 to be very precise, because India was not geared up for this ecosystem where we wanted to have an industry academic interfaces. So mostly the academicians were actually, there were a lot of engineering colleges which were just emerging those days,
Right,
and the focus was more on the academic studies.
right,
So then I scaled a software company to a size 500, and then from 2011 I actually started actively researching on the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So we had in USA, there were a lot of incubators, IIT, if you're aware, in the late 90s, there were incubators in
right,
India, but accelerator program concept was still not available. So 2006, the first accelerator program came in US, which was Y Combinator, and that became highly successful one.
right.
So that was followed with Techstar, and many accelerator programs came in. Back in India, what had happened was there were a lot of these angel groups and networks emerging, trying to imitate and copy the startup ecosystem in the US. But unfortunately, what happened was it was like the ones who knew the startup ecosystem, one who knows the funding process, they reaped in maximum benefit. So it was largely again IIT, IM, and the reputed colleges who are having academic interfaces in the international market, or the
Yep.
industry is aware, because if you know that most of the IIT alumni, they went to USA and they started their own companies. So that is how the startup ecosystem started coming in. And if anyone would do a deep research, at least 50% of the companies had IIT IM founders.
Yeah.
And over here, then I did an active research. I did my PhD in the strategic entrepreneurship ecosystem, and then started approaching multiple colleges to set up entrepreneur varsity. And exactly 2 decades later, we have nearly around 25 plus colleges who are with an agreement with us for 5 years.
Right.
So see, setting up this ecosystem is quite, it takes time, because we have to train the faculty, then we have to train the students and all. And because it is under a no finance obligation, I am not taking any money from the colleges.
Right.
That is one of the reason we don't have any financial bindings as such. But what the whole focus is, the mission is to help the country understand the startup ecosystem and how Silicon Valley actually got built. So that is what we am striving. We have, apart from that, at least 50 more colleges who have shown interest. So indirectly, we are impacting at least 200 colleges at this moment of time.
Wow. It's a great news, sir. So just
Yeah.
want to understand, like, what are the challenges you are facing? I know it is not so easy, And I appreciate the fact that you are, instead of going to IITs and IIM, you are also supporting those local colleges in Pune and Bangalore, right? But I know there are genuine challenges. What are the challenges you are facing at this moment?
See, one of the I should appreciate the IIT and IIM also, because some of the research papers actually I presented over there.
Right.
And what we find is the meticulousness in which they try to give rigor to the case study methodology or assignments, where students may have to work late hours and complete the assignment in time. Unfortunately, here in India, most of the academic institutes, they are caught up with their own syllabus and their own struggle. So
Yeah.
what the first struggle is, uh, students not coming to the college because of the COVID
Yeah.
lockdown. There was
Yeah.
suddenly there was a big lacuna where students were not able to come to the college, and vice versa. The students were not attending even the regular sessions which were there in Zoom or GoToMeeting.
Yeah.
So even I got inputs from many college that the first challenge is how to recreate the interest of education back in the students. So
True.
the startup ecosystem comes second, but first and
Yeah.
foremost, basic understanding.
Yeah.
Second, when I went to one particular college, I surprisingly found that many of the students were actually open to start their venture during the college academic time period only. So
Yeah.
that was a positive news. The negative news is that they are saddled with compulsory internship initiatives which they have to undertake within colleges.
Yeah.
So again, there becomes a mismatch where a student may not necessarily follow his or her passion,
Yeah.
and may end up doing a job. So
Exactly.
the struggle is we need more and more parents to encourage the startup ecosystem, make help their kids to become entrepreneur
Right.
rather than trying to search for job in MNCs.
Right.
And the other thing is funding. What happens is most of the government-based incubator and accelerator programs, they have a typical funding process where they give grant, and the
Yeah.
grant is typically 2.5% of the equity. Okay, for a 2.5 lakh rupees kind of a payable loan. Okay, like it's like a debt fund. So what happens is the valuation process sucks over there. The startup ecosystem, which is followed by the regular accelerator programs, they work on a valuation concept where someone gets a 10 lakh rupees for a 10% equity. Straight away, the startup has a valuation of 1 crore.
Yeah.
But if it is a government-based incubation center, the startups will get incubated over there. But okay, it is more still in India, it is more under a service model rather than a valuation model as far as the government-based incubators are concerned.
Yeah.
So there is a big, so there is a lot of work which is needed. We are doing a lot of active research in entrepreneurship ecosystem itself. So passion framework evolved by me has 28 dimensions. So we are soon coming up with active research. Many of the colleges have already shown interest, and we will actually be having the students undertake research in entrepreneurship, various
Yeah.
themes.
Yeah, I agree. No, but I have one specific point, right? Where of course, the entrepreneur ecosystem, support system, and collaboration is required. But at the end of the day, the person who has to initiate that entrepreneurship, either it's technology or service, he need a very kind of a reasonably wise knowledge in every sector, right? Either it's business, technology, marketing, operation, and so on. So probably our colleges and universities are not equipped with the required knowledge, which is the foundation for any business to start. Don't you think so?
See, what happens is there was a mandatory need for incubation CEOs to be put in incubators, okay, by the government.
Right.
And what happened was there were many senior guys from the industry who have actually volunteered, and they have also become CEOs. So that is a very good positive aspect. What exactly happens is you need an army of mentors, okay? So this
Exactly.
ecosystem, like when I was also a mentor in Indian Angel Network. So what happens is they usually allocate a particular entrepreneur to a mentor, and a mentor is supposed to get some small nominal equity, but they cannot claim an equity. Now, what happens is this whole concept of sharing, okay, the equity or sharing knowledge or even sharing funds. This concept, this compassion has to be percolated within the students also, within the academician trust bodies also, and also within mentors.
Yeah.
So today we have, I can very safely say that we have 20 minimum active members who actually attend my startup ecosystem session weekly. So this has
Yeah.
been carried out right throughout the COVID days, and we have an access to nearly around 500 plus senior mentors.
Yeah.
Name who is who in the industry in India, we have that at least one particular person from some company would be our mentor. Now, what happens is we cannot go and start disclosing or leveraging those mentors, because these mentors are volunteers who will volunteer for no commercial gain, no, give time to the entrepreneurs. But at the same time, now we need more students, more startups to uh, think beyond funding. The
Yeah.
problem is they try to get to the mentor only if the mentor gives funding.
Yeah.
So it is like, a game of just trying to burn the startup. Means you have a burn rate till the time some investor funds. The moment the investment stops, the startup is closed down.
Yeah.
So you would have seen recent examples even in LinkedIn, which they are talking about many startups. They have started laying off resources.
Yeah.
Okay, so why it happens is because the investors eventually want to have a business model which is having a revenue stream.
Exactly.
And this is where our focus will be to focus on market research, identifying the client opportunities for the startup. This is what we are focusing more than raising funds for the startups. Because uh, unless and until you don't have a healthy profit and loss statement or a revenue, it is no point reaching out to a investor and asking for $1 million or $100 million. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah. Anyway, let's move. I think definitely your this initiative will reach to the across different area of India. Probably, I mean, my part, Northeast India, there are a lot of youngsters who wanted to become entrepreneur, and they don't have much clarity how to basically take it forward, right? Probably this kind of initiative that you have been running definitely will help to those ambitious people. So let's move to the next part of Dr. Sharma, because you have been associated with different skill development as far I know, right? You started your passion in infotech 20 years back, where a lot of youngsters got skilled, and people like us, I can say that I'm part of your destination, right? And that transformation was extremely important, especially people like us were undergone our education in a very kind of a college where there are no industry tie-up and so on. And therefore, you have basically brought those students in one platform, and you have molded them and then guided in the such a way that we are all able to get the job into the industry, right? But I want to understand, like, what are your experience apart from technological things? What are those skills that is required for today's youngsters to get placed and help their family and help their society?
Yeah. So to begin with, Nipa, you would be happy to know that my association with the Policy Times, we are
Mhm.
actually having going to have an outreach to the Bengal state, West Bengal state, and we have got actually active interest from at least around 15 colleges in the northeast stream, which includes
Mhm.
Assam, then even Meghalaya and Nagaland.
Oh,
So,
great.
so the interest is there. So awareness will happen. But the point is that eventually, let me tell you what happened was when I started off with this particular concept of the word passion. Okay, it's a strong desire to achieve an object and seek security out of the object. So the focus was more on creating employment opportunity, and entrepreneurship was there, part of my mission. But as it was at a very nascent stage, as I told to you that most of the students they pushed to the US and it got aborted. One of the main uh, thing which I will tell you that technology plays an important role for startup. So it has to be more the product based companies, more they get funded.
Yeah,
Okay, and services is something where if you work on an aggregation model, then service projects also become successful. Example like Ola and Oyo and so on. So what is needed is to have management skills imparted to the engineers and
exactly.
technical skills imparted to the management resource.
Yeah,
Because what happens is it's a very important factor where we need to align both of these streams to come up with a successful product. Because see, you need a CEO, you need a CTO, you need a CFO, and you
exactly.
need a CMO. This is what is
Exactly.
the basic. Marketing is there, operations is there, technology is the third aspect, and someone who is driving this thing. So okay, we can coin one particular person word of founder, but that founder may just be technical guy and may not be having management skills. So it is very important that they have to have a link with the management students or some management co-founders. So that is what we are trying to do is we are actually having now multiple colleges collaborate together and come up with startup spin-offs. So it could be a management student from A college, from a management college who will participate with an engineering student from B college. So this
Exactly.
is the kind of an experiment, and right now we are in the right stage where government has made it mandatory that innovation has to be included as part of the curriculum. So incubation and innovation actually a college gets it facilitates the NAC grading scheme, and that is where many of the college professors are happy. And so we have a structured module in which we keep training the candidates in IT skills also as well as the management skills.
Exactly. Okay, I got it. So basically, you are saying in today's entrepreneur to succeed, a person must have a technical skills and then managerial skills. That is what you are saying, right?
Correct. Correct.
And for that, you are collaborating between the engineers and managers from the different
Correct. Correct.
departments. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can. But then that is totally agree. But the one of the major problem that Indian startup is facing today is basically the funding part, right? Uh, of course, they have a brilliant idea, but they don't have enough cash to hire the engineers and deploy it and develop product development. And immediately after product development, we don't start getting the revenue because it takes some time to popularize in the market and getting the basically deal. So, what are those basically hurdle? Can how this hurdle can be overcome?
See, there is a concept known as lean startup. Okay. So now what happens is it's a myth that you need lots of funds
Right.
to create a startup. Startup
Okay.
is actually an experiment. I keep trying to tell to the each and everyone that it's an experiment till the time you prove a business model.
Right.
Once a business model is proven, once you start earning money, it
Right.
is your choice whether you have to go to an investor or you can run the venture on your own. Okay,
Yeah.
so no one is going to force you to get into an investment bandwagon. The
Right.
point which many of the entrepreneurs need to understand that the reason why they get into the investor bandwagon is because I had written a research paper. Entrepreneur grows self to sell self. So the moment you bring an investor, you need to have an exit
Okay.
mindset. Exit mindset means after 3 years, you just ensure that that particular startup is sold off to some company or it gets merged, acquired, or the last thing some gutsy startups they do is they initiate their IPO. So if you will see Naukri.com, Sanjeev sir, he has actually successfully made his startup an IPO. So IPO means you are still under control of that particular startup. Otherwise, and of course, we will take examples of Infosys, Narayan Murthy sir, and all. They have ensured that the company got listed in the public. But
Exactly.
many of the startups, many of the companies, what they do is when the funding, if you will see a domain today can be booked in 1,000 rupees, hosting can come in 4,000 rupees. If you have any brilliant idea, you can do one structured survey using a Google form and
Exactly.
try to understand whether your idea is going to sell or not sell. So in less than 10,000 rupees, and I'm very sure that today with most of the youngsters spending money on Netflix or internet or even fanciful mobile, I think they can afford even that 2,000 to 5,000 or 10,000 rupees. If there is a will, there is a way. For
Exactly.
some, definitely someone will be able to support them. The
Yeah.
problem is no one goes and tells to one particular individual that you can start a venture or even in 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. Okay. So what happens is in India, the mindset is that in 10,000 rupees today, you cannot open even a vada pav center.
Exactly.
So everything becomes like an hurdle. Now, when in that hurdle, what happens is many of the software programmers and all, they feel that startup is one route to create an experience certificate for themselves. So the moment you have 5 to 6 developers each asking 15,000 rupees put in their budget, so that investor demand comes nearly 25 lakhs, 50 lakh rupees. So it is all their own salaries, no, for 1 year.
Yeah.
Usually the founders are not supposed to take salaries for at least 1 year. They are bootstrapping. The
Exactly.
philosophy of startup is that you have to bootstrap. But what we observe is that many of the individuals come up with their own pay stub amount fee, and this disinterests the investors. The investors start getting worried. Now, investors also pay that money. Okay, they pay the money if suppose someone is from a branded institute. So many of the accelerators will say for us, team is most important, and we are able to fund. So what happens is they start funding this. Many of these reputed college brand individuals, they start getting 10 lakh rupees fund, 20 lakh rupees fund for whatever proof of concept. But back when you talk about small institutes where people are thinking that is this employment or is it a their own company? The
Exactly.
point is we have to ensure and we need to make individuals understand that it is your own company. You are going to get the maximum benefit. You are going to get the 80% share of a company. So what I am doing is I am encouraging the individuals to not start any company. Okay, let them experiment and let them see if that particular venture concept is clicking. The
Exactly.
moment the first fund comes, the moment the first client comes, at the moment they are able to collect 25,000 to 50,000 rupees, then let them think of starting a private limited company, because it doesn't make sense to make a private limited company with no funding and getting into non-compliance after 1 year, because many of the founders, they don't also know that there are some statutory obligations like filing the returns and so on,
Yeah.
and it becomes more of a headache. So I actually did a survey with most of the startups put in one reputed site, okay, government site, and you will be shocked. 65% of the startup companies are live, okay, but there is no either the website is not working or the phone is not working and so on. And just imagine the number of non-compliance which it creates. But
Exactly.
awareness is missing. No one tells more. What happens is someone will give you money of 10 lakh rupees, but they won't say that in 10 lakh rupees you have to follow the statutory norms. No one is going to tell to you that for you it is very important that even if the startup closes or not, that 25,000 rupees mandatory for auditor fee and CA fee is
Yeah.
not to be ignored.
Yeah, yeah, I got your point. So ultimately, you are saying overall maturity in the entire startup ecosystem is missing. So,
Yes.
which you guys are helping, I'm very glad. So, but I will share a genuine problem what I faced running 2 years one of the startup, right, during
Mhm.
2017-19. So we have money, we are capable to hire the engineers. That is what we needed, and then we run for 2 years, and I have a full-time job. And of course, there are many other co-founders, friends wanted to join, but the amount of responsibility and commitment it is missing from their side. And I run it for 2 years along with my job, and I face a lot of challenges, not because of money, because of the time and effort, and of course, we are not able to create a strong sales pipeline. So what I essentially was saying, what is your startup strategy to those people like us? I'm very sure there are many working people who want to open the startup parallelly. So what is your solution for those people like us who want to parallelly run a startup? And if startup clicks, probably will quit the job and run the startup.
See, I am supporting many individuals like you. Okay, so
Exactly.
to begin with, uh, one of the strategy which I always tell to them is that leverage on interns. Okay, but the interns have to be skilled. So you need to have skilled interns. So I begin with asking them what is their budget, what is their burn rate, which they can permit to even support that particular venture. Now
Yeah.
what happens is where the individual makes a mistake is that they don't try to give these interns equity or try to get them involved in that particular startup as their own. So
Mhm.
now what happens is there is a founder who has a vision mission, and there are some employees who are working, but they are not aware about the mission. For them, it's a job, right? They want to complete that particular job and go to a bigger company. So what happens is that sense of belonging which we have to bring into the individuals.
Yeah,
Whichever company I have worked or I have scaled that particular company, my duty is to bring that sense of belonging to that company.
yeah,
That sense of belonging will actually drive individuals, and there are a lot of outsourcing companies, no service companies. Today we have outsourced model for digital marketing, even for lead generation, even for back office. Suppose you want to have a back office where you have a dedicated team of candidates who have to make US calls to get clients.
yeah,
The point is you will need to go by a minimum fee of 8,000 rupees salary to
yeah,
15,000 rupees salary.
yeah,
Sometimes what happens, the person who is in an employment and who already has an EMI lingering over him or her for maybe whatever running, it could be a house or something. So how much of money a particular working class person can invest in a startup venture? It could be 20,000, 30,000, or whatever. Depending on that, a strategy for scaling them up can be conceived. But if suppose that particular person will say, I have only 10,000 rupees per month to support. In 10,000 rupees, you cannot have that kind of dedicated members, no, supporting you. So you'll have to do it all alone. So
yeah.
that is where the time constraints will start coming in, because that person is also working, and then that particular person is also looking after that particular startup. So for these kind of marriages, in fact, most of the software companies, they don't encourage double employment, startup
Exactly.
and this. So usually what happens is many of the individuals who are at the senior level, they usually get saddled by the IP sign-offs. Many of the companies, they say whatever you're thinking during the tenure is belonging to us. So usually sometimes we have also seen the case that the person says that can we have it done under wife's name. Now
Exactly.
the problem with this is the wife having BE computer or technology. So it is very important. So see, we have to take it on a case to case basis to solve this problem.
Okay, I got your point. So probably we'll connect offline then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other aspects that I want to understand, right? Your strategic advisor role, basically, if you uh, engage with different organizations as a strategic advisor. So, do you would like to share with us, like to my audience, what
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
advisor that?
See, it's like there are many advice which I give it for free
Yeah,
to begin with. There
yeah,
will be some paid and there will be some unpaid. But the more important thing, what happens is, as an advisor, no, my focus is more on process improvement, business strategy improvements, and also to strategize the entire venture. Okay.
yeah.
So now what my experiences has been like, right now I'm supporting one particular college who wants to set up a uh, cyber forum, cyber group.
Right.
So what happens under this kind of cases? The most important thing as an advisor, what is an advisor? Advisor is a person who is trying to guide you and trying to make you focused.
Yeah,
Okay, and trying to tell to you whether you will be able to do it or not do it.
yeah,
So it is like, one kind of a checklist. So many times what happens is, even before someone wants to start a startup or someone wants to start their own venture, I start asking them a series of questions to first make them understand that there is a big difference between a freelancer or an entrepreneur or a consultant
yeah,
and an advisor. So
yeah,
what role are you playing? Are you going to get totally too actively involved in that particular company? If you're totally actively involved in that particular company, you're a consultant. So
yeah,
we cannot become consultants to multiple companies. We have to be focused over there and only provide good consultancy services to one or two companies max. You cannot,
yeah.
because you have 24 hours limit, right? So
Exactly,
what you can do is you can be as an advisor to some companies who may not be needing more than 1 hour of your time in weekend.
exactly.
Okay, so it could be an NGO, it could be a college, it could be a school, or it could be any social cause initiatives also. So uh, uh, the advisors or the mentors are usually telling to the startups that how much time you want from us, what is the kind of an involvement. Are you
Exactly.
looking out for 10 hours per month involvement or 2 hours per month involvement? And with in lieu of that involvement, and equity is what is a normal expectation in case if
Yeah.
it is a startup. With colleges, even that is clueless. And I'll tell you, all this equity is zero till the time the startup doesn't get funded, right?
Yeah.
So unless and until the startup gets funded, all this equity is meaningless. So what we tell to the startup is that in case if you're getting a project or a business out of it, you please try to contribute to the social causes. So this is
Exactly.
where you can do the contribution.
Right.
And many of the guys who cannot become an entrepreneur, okay, running their own venture, being an employee, we have something like Indian Angel Network and all these groups, no, where they are allowing you to become member at 5 lakh rupees,
Yeah.
okay, and you can become an investor. That's how that angel investment philosophy is. Angel investors are people who are working in a company and who are also angels to one particular venture, but they are not directly involved in that particular venture. Okay. Only thing is there should not be any conflict of interest. Like you cannot become an angel to one particular venture, which that venture is also your present company's bread and butter.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so this is where little bit of carefulness is needed. But otherwise, you have an option. Yeah.
Okay. So probably then for working people, we have multiple options. Once under your global startup ecosystem, we can start something, or we can also become a angle investor. That is what you mean, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, probably let us wrap up our discussion. I have a last point to conclude, Dr. Sharma, is primarily what is about this transformation journey that is you are doing directly, indirectly to these youngsters today, right? Either through a startup or skill development. But what is overall uh, India looks like in terms of the skill development, and what are the supporting entity, either from government or private institutions or public companies or society, like which are the different components can contribute to build a better startup ecosystem, according to you?
See, what happens in India when the skill development started, if you recollect, there were schemes where suppose someone gets trained and gets a job, then that particular training agency will get funded.
Exactly.
Now, the problem what happens with this is that the training departments will never get money at all, right? Because unemployment is one big problem over here. So
Exactly.
what happened was in that particular zeal, the training departments they started trying to convince the candidates to join whichever job they come in. So
Yeah.
not necessarily in that same skill. Okay. So someone would have learned Java, but if suppose there is a data entry job, please take that particular job because otherwise the government doesn't fund. This is the problem.
Yeah.
So what happens is it's very important for the policymakers to actually look at the grassroots level what is the problem, okay,
Exactly.
of this country, and try to solve that particular problem in a more better way. So having said that, there are a lot of big industrialists and all, they have got together and they are encouraging the startup ecosystem. So I am closely working with a few large big limited companies who want to set up the accelerator program, but they are not sure. Why they
Yeah.
are not sure is who would be the right startup and who is going to authenticate that this startup is the best startup, and their entrepreneur is not going to go to some other company for a job.
Exactly.
Because over here what happens is in India, the moment some startup comes in and gets funded by one venture, there's always one parallel competitor, no, who will
Exactly.
try to break in and give jobs to the startup team. So, so maybe the founder is left again by himself. So what happens is continuous skilling and continuous shadowing of resources needed. And the only solution is the academic interfaces. And this is what we are trying to do. The industry, academic, startup, and NGO interface, this is what I'm promoting. And if you will see passion framework, probing and innovating, these are the two aspects: acting, scoping, setting, owning, and nurturing. So first you begin with research, you probe, Google, whether you can do a project or not. You try to bring in innovation to solve a particular problem. Because startup is all about solving a pain point, and then you need to own and nurture it. And then you need to set the right environment. Like if
Exactly.
you want to start a rural startup, you cannot come to a metro and start that particular startup, right? You have to be in
True.
the rural area.
Exactly. Yeah, but I have one point again come up to my mind. See, in India or any other underdeveloped country, the big tech is basically, of course, they are creating the employment, they are helping to skill India and so on and so forth. But at the same time, they are basically indirectly completely taking the control of Indian business or Indian data through their different this platform as a service model, right? Either it is Google, Amazon, and so on. And to compete those big tech, it is becoming one of the great challenges for everyone. So, what is your take on this?
See, what happens is the thumb rule is very simple. Okay. If you have observed most of the big tanks, they have provided everything free, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So please understand what happens exactly is the Western philosophy is something totally different. Okay. They say that build one particular product for a customer use, let the customer be happy. And if they are happy, if they like the services, they will start paying. What happens exactly over here in India is that if you're a billable resource in a company, you're valued. If you're not a billable resource, you get a pink slip. So the problem what happens is in the mindset of our Indian entrepreneurs, okay, the focus is on how to make money from day one. Okay. And this is something which even unfortunately our investors, they may imitate the Western countries, okay. But they become totally panicked with this freebies. Okay. They say how long this freebie is going to continue. And so, what if you have observed the whole investor groups who have invested in these large companies, no, yeah, they are the people who believe in this particular game of valuation. Okay, they know that let it be free. We are improving the customer base, and this model was properly and successfully imitated by Geo. So
Exactly.
Geo got funded.
Yeah.
The reason why Geo got funded was because that particular person knew that there is no other way where you can create that particular base. Okay, if you want to reach out to public, people over here are they don't mind paying money on clothes. They won't mind paying money on food, entertainment. But when it comes to something like a startup ecosystem, or even if you go and tell that 10,000 rupees, can you invest in this particular person's startup? They will think 1,000 times, no, whether to invest or not. And same goes even when someone will want salaries. Are you getting the point? So the initial stage startups, if you will see their balance sheets, no, mostly the founders end up getting paid more and the employees are getting paid very less. So
Yeah.
why will that employee want to be in that particular startup, right? So
Yeah. I got your point.
and yeah, and one thing which I would like to add was that see, I started a venture and I had it fully stagnated for almost decades. Okay. So one of the most important thing which you have to do is be focused. Even if you get into one company, just scale up that particular company and let them be happy. Let
Yeah.
us not bother about the money and
Thank you.
start
Yeah. Thank
when
you.
things.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a very good discussions, and I hope our audience will get overall benefit from your startup ecosystem that you are running with. I thank you for your valuable time and insight. I look forward to connect with you again with this kind of wonderful discussion. Good luck, Dr. Sharma, for your startup
Yeah,
ecosystem that you are
thanks.
running. Thank you.